As a facilitator of the team, we're really trying to focus on some other solutions that could prevent him from going to higher level of care. We'll keep going and getting really stuck with her, where she's at right now.
Yeah. So it sounds like you really kind of understand Mom's perspective, that she's really kind of fed up. She's tried everything. She's exhausted. She doesn't know what else to do with him. And you really get that. And you're feeling really lost. It sounds like lost because you don't know where to go now, because you know that Mom really wants what's in the best interest of her son, but you're not really sure what to do next.
Right.
Yeah.
And just feeling like, we've spent a lot of time validating her feelings and trying to focus on how we can help her, deal with what she's feeling, because she has experienced a lot of abuse by him, and there's a lot of fear and a lot of anger and resentments that's been built up over time. We've spent a lot of times just really focusing on what her need is, but now it feels kind of like pressure's on. We've got maybe a couple months before this kid could go into residential, and we really want to start moving forward. And we've spent a lot of time talking to her about how we help her move forward, and just feel like we're not kind of getting anywhere with it. And it's a real struggle, I think, for myself in particular, but for the team in general, to not get frustrated with her, because it keeps coming back to what her need is and not the client's needs.
Yeah. So on the one hand, you're really doing a really nice job of reflecting with Mom, spending time acknowledging Mom's feelings, really understanding her perspective on this. And on the other hand, you're really struggling because you have this time and this clock ticking in your head. And for you, it's bothering you that you're not moving further faster because you're worried about the clock.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So what are some thoughts? So you want to validate Mom, you want to validate Mom's experience. One of the goals on the table for the whole family is to keep him out of residential.
Right.
And you've got some limited time here.
Right.
So what are your thoughts?
We've been working with empowering Dad in this situation too, because Dad has a very different perspective than stepmom does on the situation. So the team's really been working to empower him to have a stronger voice for the sake of the client, because I think the client kind of feels like he's just left out there to deal with it, and kind of is in the middle of what's going on between Mom and stepmom and Dad. So we've been working with Dad to empower him. We've been having the family partner meet with him individually to try to bring his voice a little bit more to the team. And really working with the client to recognize what the impact his behaviors are having and the possible consequences of some of those behaviors. So trying to get him connected with the RAP coach and doing a lot of collaboration with his therapist to really kind of focus on how we can, work on those behaviors that are really perpetuating this situation and are likely to lead him to residential.
Wow, good for you. You've really thought of sort of a multifaceted approach. So you really come in and you're validating Mom, and you've also tried to empower Dad, to have him have sort of a stronger voice to support his son, and then to have the son really look at some behavior challenges he's having and what he can do to help solve the system. So kind of putting the energy on all three. Yeah. Yeah.
I suppose for me, the bigger question is, how do I stay neutral in this process? Because that's, with the clock ticking and with, my role being the facilitator and kind of keeping everybody moving in the right direction, feeling really stuck with this stepmom.
Yeah.
So it feels like validation's not been enough for her.
Right.
We keep coming back to her issues, meetings keep coming back to her needs,
right.
And we're not able to do in the meeting some of the planning and we're not able to really use the RAP process, because it's all about needing to hear what's going on for her and trying to validate that. So I guess my particular role, I'm feeling kind of at a loss for how to keep the team moving forward in those RAP meetings when we keep coming back to her needs.
Yeah. So the question I'm hearing that you're struggling with is, how do I stay neutral and not have an opinion about Mom's feelings?
Right.
And how do I check out or make sure that we're moving?
Right.
So what are your thoughts about how you could do that to make sure that Mom doesn't feel judged and that you are neutral and you're hearing her equally, and that the team is moving? What are some strategies you've thought of on how to do that?
I think we kind of have to acknowledge what is happening in these meetings and really let mom know that we're seeing that she's really, that she has a lot of her own needs in this process, and we really want to help to meet those needs and maybe look at what supports we can help her connect with, that she's getting those needs met, but also maybe as in my role reinforcing our process, and that we have to kind of stick to that process and making sure she's getting those needs met, but maybe using our structure and our agenda and things like that to keep our process moving forward in those meetings.
Yeah, so it sounds like a strategy you could actually try, maybe even the next meeting.
Yeah.
Is to come to the table and say, Mom, here's kind of where we see things. Evaluate sort of what you're hearing from her and from the family members. Remind of what the process is, and sort of get buy-in again, it sounds like, is that we're going to stick with this process. Is everyone okay with that? And then use your structure to help move the meetings forward. Yeah. So that sounds like something you might be able to try.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when would you be able to try that?
Well, we have our next meeting next Tuesday, so I think it would be good for me to maybe have a conversation with the other team members so that they can support me in really kind of reinforcing the process and the structure, because it can get hard when you're in the midst of it.
Right.
So I think having their support will also help me feel like I'm doing a better job of staying neutral and able to move the process along.
Yeah.
So we'll try it on Tuesday at our next meeting.
Great. So it sounds like Tuesday you could try it, but in the meantime, you're going to make sure you check with the other team members so that you feel supported when you go in that meeting as well, and they know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Everyone's on board.
Yeah.
Great. Is it okay with you if I check in with you then next Wednesday just to see how it went?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. That would be great. Well, thanks
See
for
you
coming.
Wednesday.
Great. Hi, it's good to see you. I understand you wanted to talk about a few things.
Yeah, I have this stepmom that I'm working with at the moment that's really got me feeling quite stuck. She's pretty highly anxious, and our client is her stepson, and the family's looking at possible residential placement, and she's pretty much just given up. And we feel like every time we go in to try to work on what the issues are, it's mostly going back to where she's at and not really ready to move forward or really to look at any possible solutions to what's going on in the family. So I'm just not quite sure how to manage her in those meetings.
So she's really, from your perspective, feeling really resistant. She's not looking at new opportunities. You guys are trying to come up with something. She's not really open, and that's leaving you feel really frustrated and feeling like you don't have a lot of solutions.
Right.
Yeah. So, and it sounds like you're asking a question about how do you work with resistant families.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me what you already know. What do you already do with resistant families or someone who's resistant to suggestions?
I think a lot of it comes about kind of coming alongside of them, really validating where they're at and what they're feeling and the reasons why they're feeling that way, and really trying to get into that place where you can have some understanding about why they are where they are, and have them feel that you can empathize with them.
Yeah.
I think that's sort of useful in getting them to move, and I think we've been able to do that. But it's kind of this next piece of, okay, how do we now move forward with her? It feels like we keep coming back in and repeating the same things over and over and over again, and we're not really moving past this point of validating how she's feeling. But then now let's move forward. So that's where I'm feeling quite stuck.
Yeah. So it sounds like you do have strategies that work, that you really try to come alongside, empathize with how she's feeling, really have her understand that you get what's going on for her, and by validating that, the hope is that she'll move with you.
Right.
And right now you've done that several times, and that's kind of the only strategy you're using. So now you're feeling stuck.
Right.
Anything else that you've been using, or anything else you can think of?
I mean, the other piece of that is the impact that it has on the rest of the family. So it's kind of the difficulty of trying to help her while also, managing dad and the client as well. So it's kind of that whole dynamic that's playing out. And we've been trying to use maybe some of the other family members to also kind of model and empower them to move forward, but she's still that kind of stuck piece.
Yeah. So she's still stuck. Even engaging the other families to have them really help with moving her forward isn't working either, though that's a strategy that does work sometimes.
Right.
Yeah. Can I offer you a suggestion?
Yeah.
One thing that I'm wondering if you've considered is thinking about what mom wants, what her values are, and where she wants to go, what she's ready, willing, and able to do. So
Right.
what she came in the door for. And sharing that with her, and then also sharing at the same time the behavior you're seeing. So on the one hand, Mom, I'm hearing that you really want a better situation life for your child. And on the other hand, there's been some suggestions offered that aren't really working for you, or they're not working for you, and I'm wondering where that leaves you. What do you think about that thought?
Yeah, I think that would be helpful. I guess my biggest concern is that I think she really wants him to be in residential, which is what we're trying to prevent from happening.
Yeah.
So I guess that's my only concern about going in that direction with her, is that that's where she's at with it. But I think you're right. We kind of need to, at least acknowledge that's where she is.
Yeah. So you're concerned that she might want him to go to residential, which is not what the team wants. But you're hearing that, recognizing that, validating from Mom what her true experience is and what she's wanting might help in